Yeah, we know that you're trying to make a video.
Yeah, I'm trying to make a video. Yeah, that's right. We can say hello if you want. What do you think about the video?
I think
He said sometimes in Ukraine it could be the thing going. A signal.
Give me a signal.
Yeah.
it's like a I don't know.
It's like not a very nice noise.
Oh, the air signal.
Yeah. It's very nice noise.
I guess I'll find that out for myself.
They asked me that question. One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You got to pay your bills.
Speeches like this are a sign that something has shifted since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine 2 years ago. Back then, there was no second thought about doing everything possible to help Ukraine and its people.
The Ukrainian national home. If you need a visual example of just how much support is coming to the people of Ukraine, take a look at that window.
And I know that firsthand. My parents took in a family of refugees when the war started. Tonya,
I wanted my children have childhood.
And her 2 children, Dennis and Rahina. Sergei, Tonya's husband, was left behind in Ukraine. Men aged between 18 and 60 cannot leave the country under martial law. Back in 2022, Ukraine was all over the news, all over social media, and all everyone was talking about. But now, they've stopped talking. The Ukraine news cycle has faded, but the war hasn't. I travelled to Ukraine in January to see the situation for myself. I spoke to locals and experts before meeting up with Tonya and her family. They had decided to take a trip home to Ukraine for Christmas to see Sergei. The footage you saw at the start of this video was them starting their journey, a near 24-hour journey into a country at war, all on Christmas Day. Their family was temporarily reunited, and then tortuously separated again. Before meeting them, I travelled to Kyiv.
You can see, that's no one.
Yeah.
Heavy Russian airstrikes on Ukraine have killed 5 people and wounded dozens more.
This is how close the missile got to hitting this block of flats. The crater is about 5 meters deep, and just look at the devastation caused. You can see the windows completely, not blown through, blasted through.
Andriy, an 18-year-old student living in Kyiv, took me to the site of this missile strike. He was born in Luhansk, now occupied, and witnessed the violence that started there in 2014.
How old were you? 8 years.
8 years old.
I was 8 years old, yeah. I see the situation when I woke up at 5 a.m. Because of shooting on the street.
On the street outside your house.
I hear the shooting on the street. And we are really likely of that, because on the 2022, the Russia, you know, that what the situation was in Bucha and Irpin and Gostomel, that the Russia attacked the civilian.
Global outrage grew today as more horrific revelations surfaced from Bucha, Ukraine, a town northwest of Kyiv. Hundreds of Ukrainians died there, many apparently executed by Russian troops as they retreated from the town last week.
Andriy and his mother fled Luhansk in 2014, thinking that they would be back soon. It's been 10 years.
My whole family in occupation. I have only mothers there. I now learning on the diplomatic specialization, majoring on the international law, and for me is that the first that we need to do just to speak with Europe and American partners as to help.
What's going to happen if you don't get those air defences?
We can see it on the streets. Our house will be destroyed.
Yeah. We were offered masks to avoid inhaling the dust and dirt that was being thrown up into the air by those sifting through the rubble of their apartments. I wanted to talk to someone.
Is this your home?
This is home of my uncle and his family.
Are they safe?
Yes, they are safe. They were not here at the moment of the
rocket
follow. We were in another place.
Can you show us around?
Yes, sure. So here you can see there was a wall, but there is no wall anymore because the explosion was from that side and it was so hard, so the wall is gone.
Was this?
There is a school.
Is that from bed?
Was this a bed?
Yeah.
Yes, this is the bed. This is the bed. This is the room of the parents. The day before explosion, the whole family was here in the building. In this
One day before.
One day before. So actually, we are very lucky. I think it was 130 people were evacuated from the house, and at the moment, I think it's 4 who are dead.
4 people died in this building.
Yeah.
Do you know how close the missile landed to right here? Do you know where it landed?
Yes, approximately.
Yeah.
Now it's gone. So this is the very first moment when we came here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the entrance. So it's just a little bit to the left from the entrance. And we are actually here now. I don't know how much time it will take to restore this apartment, and I'm not sure if it's possible.
In my home region with occupation, government who take the city of Lugansk, they don't actually support the citizen where houses are destroyed in 2014. If you want to repair it, you need to repair it. That's all.
But the government will help with this house.
We have to see.
We have to see.
The promise. It's just a promise. You have to wait, and we will look. But I don't know.
What will your family do if they don't rebuild?
It's difficult to make any prognosis, but also question myself. Is it needed to make any prognosis? I don't think so. Because tomorrow...
in our reality,
yeah,
it can't be real, because now we live in a war.
I don't even know where to start. It's horrible that this is your reality.
Yeah, my son was having the party here in January, and second we have nothing here. That's all.
Do you feel angry?
Not very much, but just emptiness, like I would say.
I'm sorry. Do you think you can win this war without the West?
No.
No.
It's not possible. We are much less. We don't have own weapons. We have much less people.
Yeah.
So people have to be honest with themselves, I think.
I wanted to hear what other people thought, so I headed into the centre of Kyiv.
Все добре? Звичайно. My name is Ruslan.
Ruslan.
Yes. Ну, ви знаєте, якби не допомога США і не допомога ЄС, то ми б трохи не витягнули цю війну, тому що благодаря ЄС, допомоги ЄС, благодаря допомоги США, то ми потроху це витримуємо, тому що з нашими недостатньо техніки, недостатньо бойових автоматів недостатньо, ну, тобто практично нічого немає. От, і тому якби не їх допомога, то було б дуже хреново, вибачте за ругательство. От, тому що ми програли, а так ми, слава Богу, тримаємося.
In the graveyard of vehicles that surrounded us, there was one that stood out.
Це машина, ми встигли виїхати сім'я з Макарівського району. Загинули 4-5 років діти, загинули батьки. Тобто тут нереально було вижити.
It was difficult to escape reminders of war, even at times when the air raid sirens were silent. Defences, soldiers, flags. This building had covered its ground floor windows with sandbags to stop glass shrapnel from injuring or killing anyone who might be inside were a missile to strike nearby. Max, a friend of Tonya's brother, told me what it's like to live in Kyiv.
Звісно, ми себе не почуваємо в безпеці, тому що досі нас обстрілюють майже щодня, ну точно там за тиждень якісь обстріли бувають, і дуже багато ракет летить, і наші ППО збивають ці ракети, і уламки падають все одно на якісь житлові будівлі. Тобто не якісь там складські приміщення, а прямо на житлові будинки.
Scientific experts in Ukraine claim that debris recovered after a February the 7th attack in Kyiv point to the use of a Zircon hypersonic cruise missile by Russia's military.
І в мене була така ситуація, що ми вночі спали, пролунала тривога, ми пішли в коридор і роздався вибух, і обламки ракет впали прямо біля мого будинку, десь метрів 90-100. Це було дуже страшно, дуже гучно, і від цього страждає зараз дуже багато людей. Тому наше ППО бореться, і, звісно, хочеться, щоб все скоріше закінчилося, війна ця закінчилася, і люди жили мирним, спокійним життям, як це було раніше.
Keen to show me a different side to Ukraine, a welcoming side that he was proud of, Max invited me to the Christmas market with him. Then, he invited me to his apartment for dinner with his friends and family. Later, I headed back to my hostel, making sure to be there before the midnight curfew.
So what happens if you are out after midnight?
It's like when you get stopped by the cops, for example, at 1 or 2 minutes after 12, you could be taken to the police department.
I've been in Kyiv for less than 24 hours, and it's already absolutely broken my heart how normal war is for the people that live here. Max, he invited me into his home for dinner with his wife, his friends, their daughter, their pet chinchilla. But he also told me about how a missile landed 90 meters away from his apartment, how he spent the night cowering in the corridor just a few days ago as Russian missiles piled down on Kyiv, how he misses music festivals, how he wants to travel, how he loves his country, and how he's worried about his friends who are fighting. And he's worried that they might not come back. I struggled to sleep, but I didn't struggle to wake up.
I've just been woken up by the air raid siren.
Later that day, I had the equally terrifying and surreal experience of an air raid in a Grinch-themed cafe. The air alarm's just gone off for the second time today. It's a threat of ballistic missiles from the northeast, and I was just sat here doing some editing, and what struck me is the fact that nobody else in this cafe is paying any attention to it. This is just a normal way of life for them at the moment. The threat of being hit by a ballistic missile is just normal here. At the moment, the people of Kyiv can feel comfort in their air defences. The attack which happened on the 29th of December, it was 114 of the 158 missiles and drones were shot down, and that's being shot down a lot by Western defences. So without the continued support of the West, we see much higher casualties. I wanted to get an expert opinion, so I spoke to Dr. Jan Kalberg, a research scientist at the Army Cyber Institute and an assistant professor in political sciences in the Department of Social Sciences at the United States Military Academy at West Point. There you go.
How is my image now? How do I look like? I worked for the US Army as a researcher for 8 years, tasked to look for strategic surprises. And strategic surprises looks very, it's like not so bad. But in the line of business of military, it can be really bad. And it means that something happens that you were not prepared for. And I think that given me a tool set to look and think maybe to see, is there something here that we're missing?
Can Ukraine win this war without Western support?
No, I don't think so. Yes, numbers. Russia is 4 times bigger. They will do whatever it takes to reach their goal. And I think Ukraine needs Western support. This might impact the future for decades. If we fail and Russia prevails, we will go into some form of new Cold War or standstill that will, over time, eat our resources. And it will compete with other things in society, like social welfare, schooling, hospitals, because we're talking about maybe double or triple defense spending.
With all of the issues facing Americans at home, why is this worth it?
If Ukraine loses and Putin wins, I think you would be certainly increasing, if not doubling, your defense budget in the years ahead, and you will increase the probability of a great power war in the next 10 to 15 years. I think it'd be a very dangerous situation if Putin's allowed to win.
Do you have any idea how much it might cost us to continue funding Ukraine for the foreseeable future as an alternative to this new Cold War?
I can reverse this, how much it costs if you don't do it. It's likely like a frozen conflict with Russia, even if they don't attack Baltics and so forth, maybe be for 20, 30 years. You need a significant portion of NATO forces close to the operational area. Let's say you now need a defense of 4% of GDP. Now, that goes through an activity that doesn't really give you anything back. You will end up in a situation in a Cold War that you have to bind huge forces. That means we're trying to get the best and brightest to be in the part of the armed forces. So what happens is the best of the brightest of a generation will stand in eastern Poland, staring at spruce doing jack shit, being a deterrent. From an economic perspective, that's extremely destructive. And also, when we look on recruitment, I'm not so sure that in a prolonged Cold War, where we need a large deterrent component on the eastern border of NATO, that we can do that with an all-volunteer force.
some sort of conscription or drafts might be needed to at least fill the ranks of the territorials.
And it's not just Kalberg who thinks this. The Chief of the General Staff of the British Army made comments about conscription, which started a debate in January.
General Sir Patrick Saunders, he's suggesting, reading between the lines in the Telegraph today, that if we go to war with Russia, we could find that our youth may have to be conscripted. That's a bit alarming.
Yes, head of the British Army, one of the most cerebral thinkers that we've got, a strategist. We need to listen and listen carefully.
The use of drones in this war has been heavily documented, with edits like this appearing on the social media platform Telegram. But Jan has spoken out about a different weapon that's being used in Ukraine, the Patriot anti-air missile system, which is provided by the USA. I asked him why he thought providing them to Ukraine was useful for the West.
Every time you fire, it's new knowledge. And all these systems are normally driven by some sort of calculations today. Anti-tank guided missiles have an algorithm that tells him for the attack pitch. The Patriot has an intercept calculation that's driven by an algorithm. All this we can update. And that's a feedback loop that we wouldn't have.
Do you think that this combat knowledge is important for weapon systems as tensions are rising between the United States and China?
I think we're in a period when we are able to aggregate a lot of understanding of a real-life environment. And that we can turn around and implement improvements in a way that the Chinese will not really have. So the Chinese hasn't really fought a war. So uncertainty is one of the biggest drivers for peace. If they're not sure that they will get away with something, they're likely not doing it.
It was time to travel to Rivne and leave Kyiv behind. I took one last freezing evening to thank the people who had made me feel so welcome whilst they lived through so much, and headed to the railway station to catch the bus to Rivne. There, I met Sergei and Tonya on their final night together.
But with me, I'm very happy.
Hello! Hello!
Будьмо.
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 It is 3 a.m. and as you can see, I'm in the bathroom in Rivne, in Tonya and Sergei's flat. I don't want to use the word heartbroken. I don't know how many times I've used it so far in this film. I haven't edited yet, I haven't done voiceovers yet, but honestly, I don't have a vocabulary that's big enough to find any word other than heartbroken that covers how it felt to sit and talk to Tonya and Sergei this evening and discuss the fact that they don't know when their family, if their family, will be reunited again after tomorrow. Yeah. I once again struggled to sleep, and I once again didn't struggle to wake up. Tonya took me to the nearest bomb shelter, where I had the opportunity to speak to two women. Neither of them wanted to show their faces to the camera, but they were happy to talk. Are you scared right now for your life?
Так.
Tak.
Так. Yes.
When do you hope that this war will end?
Молю Бога, щоб це закінчилося скоріше. Тому що це просто неможливо переносити це все на собі. Я прошу Господа, щоб встало все, щоб швидше наша Україна стала вільна, незалежна. І ми відчули це полегшення, щоб наші батьки, брати, знайомі повернулися живими. Тому що це дуже тяжко, коли ти бачиш кожен раз загинувшу людину.
Бо спочатку, я вам чесно говорю, тоді, коли ми приїхали, у всіх були прапори українські, всі про це говорили, все, а зараз тиша. Будуть писати про котиків, будуть писати про собачок, а про Україну. Вони самі кажуть, вже втомилися.
Втомилися, і ми втомилися. А що а куди нам діватися? Нам нема куди діватися.
The air raid passed, and I took the opportunity to take in Rivne and ask Tonya a question.
Do you think there's a future where your family can all be together in Ukraine?
We hope, we pray about future in Ukraine because Ukraine is our home. Ukraine is our home, yes.
Moments later, the time had come, as Tonya and her family made their way to the train station. After far too few precious moments, it was time to leave, to start the 26-hour journey back to the UK.
Все, заходимо. Може її переступи. Обережно. Денис, заходь.
Так, проважаю, ще не заходимо. Там десь Андрій.
Дайте я тут поставлю. Я не хочу. Сон, ти бабуся, бачиш, що дає п'ятерочку.